Hi, welcome to the introduction to EarSketch. In this short little video, I'm going to show you an overview of EarSketch and you'll be making your first loop by the end. When you get to EarSketch, if you'll go to earsketch.georgiatech.edu, you'll get to this website here that has a little splash screen to kind of take you through and tell you some things about EarSketch. It's kind of worth a mention here that this little 3-minute video is really good. It actually has a couple rappers talking about the importance of coding in music, and it ends with two professors from Georgia Tech talking about why they created this free online platform for us to use. And it might be worthy of a mention that young guru Jay-Z's producer and rapper wrote over 4,000 of the sound loops that we'll be using in EarSketch. So I think your students will really be able to relate to it. So when you're ready, in the top right corner, you'll click on this yellow Getting Started. And EarSketch will load. And as it's loading, you'll see over here on the top right, it says create or reset account. So go ahead, you want to create an account. So click on that and it'll say register for a new account. When this pops open, you'll notice that the first name and the last name and the email address are optional. So that's a good thing because we don't want students to be putting that in. And then you'll see the username and the password. And you know, I would probably advise to do something like their lunch number that they can remember, and then a password that might be your school mascot. And that way, when they go home and they want to practice a little bit more, they'll be able to do that on EarSketch. So once you have created an account, then you'll want to go ahead and type in your username and your password here, and then click on this arrow to log in. And once you've logged in, your screen will look like this with kind of 3 panes. This first pane on the far left will be your sound loops. The middle pane in the bottom will actually be your script, and in the top will be the script to run and play. And then on the far right is your curriculum. And this is really nice. EarSketch provides curriculum for teachers and students if they want to take it to the next level or if they want to do some online learning on their own. It's worthy of a mention that the teacher materials and community here, if you sign up for that, within 48 hours, teachers will be approved and you'll have access to lesson plans, slideshows, etc. on EarSketch. This last one here is a good place for your students to start if they do want to take this home and learn a little bit more. It's the Hour of Code, and it gives them an overview of EarSketch, and they can go through and actually takes code that they can drag and drop and bring over here in the code editor to play with. Now, I like to have a full pane, a little bit more room here when I'm working. So we're going to go ahead and go over to the left and see the book here for the curriculum. We're going to click on it. It's going to close that pane. But at any time we want to bring it back again, we can just click on it. So the first thing we want to do is here in the middle, it says click here to create a new script. So let's do that. We're going to click on it, and I'm just going to type in Hour of Code. That'll be my little practice one today. Hour of Code, and I'm just going to type in practice. Now you've got 2 different programming languages that you can choose from, Python and JavaScript, and I'm just going to leave it at Python. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. Now the script editor will load, and I don't know about you, but when I look at that, it's a little overwhelming. So we're going to change that to a much more user-friendly format. So up here on the cogwheel on the right, if you'll click on that and change it to toggle blocks mode, and now you'll get it to where it's a little bit more maybe familiar to your students. If they've done Hour Code or have programmed on the Sphero or Ozobot with the drag and drop blocks, then that's very familiar to them. The first thing we want to do is over here in the middle, you're going to see it say Fit Media. We're going to drag that to make our first loop here in just a second over to line 14. So if you'll scroll down here and you'll see line 14, and you're going to take this Fit Media here and you're going to click and drag it and drop it to 14. And you'll notice that in the Fit Media script, it has a file name, and that's going to be the file name of your sound loop. It has track number, and the track number for our first one is always going to be number 1. And this is our start location, which will be from the beginning, which will be number 1, and then the end location for your sound loop. And we really don't know the end location, so it could be something like measure 3, 4, or 5. So over here on our sound browser, we want to listen to some sound clips so we know which ones we want to get. So I'd advise right here starting with genres, and you can change the genre here. I'm going to go to hip hop, and then it has instruments. So then you can choose an instrument. And I personally like the piano. I think it's really good. So I'm going to scroll down here and find the piano. Here we go. And then you'll notice a series of sound clips, and you'll see the little green arrow. If you click it, it'll give you a preview. And then this one is to start for your favorite, and this is to copy it. So what we want to do is once you find one that you like, make sure that the file name here is highlighted in blue. And when it's highlighted in blue, or mine even looks a little purple, then it's ready to be copied. So then I go over to the sound clip and I go over to this blue copy and I click on it, and now it brings that loop into my Fit Media. Now I just have a few more things to do before we can play our first sound loop. I have to choose the track number. And again, this is the first track we're putting in, so we're always going to choose one. And then the start location, that's where we want to start it from. And so I want to start my sound or my music lip from the beginning. I could choose to bring it in at 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but I'd like to hear it from the beginning. And then I'm going to choose an end location, and I'm going to play this to measure 5. And then to run the script, to actually see it up here and play it, we're going to click right here on Run. And then you can see it's loading. And we'll give it just a minute. And then you'll see when it comes up, you have the seconds up here, and then you also have the measures. So it's looking like this is about 5 measures and a little less than 8 seconds. So if I hit play, you can hear my loop. Now, if for some reason when students hit run and they get a blue error message up here, more than likely they've gotten that because this wasn't in line 14, or they don't have numbers for each of these. So now we're going to repeat the exact same steps, and we're going to get a second track. So I'm going to go over here to Fit Media, and I'm going to drag the next one, and I'm going to put it on line 15. And then I'm going to go over here, and maybe this time I want to bring in a guitar. So I'm going to change this from piano, and I'll go up top here and find the guitar. And then I can preview some of these as well by just hitting play. And when I find one that I like, I want to make sure that this file name is highlighted, and then I click on copy. And then you notice for line 15, I have the next loop. Now I want to go through and change this to track number 2 because this is the second sound. And the next one would be track number 3, and then track number 4, etc. And the start location is where I want to bring this in. Do I want to bring it in at 1 so it starts at the same spot that the last song, my song before it does, or do I want to bring it at a measure 2? So maybe I want to bring this in at measure 2, and maybe I want to end it at 5, the same spot where my other one ends. Then I'm going to click on Run again so it can regenerate the code. And then I'm going to rewind the code by clicking on this little left arrow, and then I'm going to hit play. Awesome! Congratulations, you have just created your first sound loop. Now, if you wanted to share this sound loop with somebody or download the sound loop, you would go over here to the left and you would click on your scripts. And then you would see all of your file names here. And you would scroll down and find your file name. For the sake of time, I'm just going to use this first one. And you would click on this down arrow. And on the down arrow, you have downloads. You can download it as a WAV file or an MP3, and then you could load it and have a playlist of study music or disco party or something like that to share with your students. Or you could click right here on share, and then when this comes up, it's going to say let others view here at the top. And so here's a link where others can view, and it will bring it into EarSketch. They'll just have to know how to run it and play it. Or you could put let others edit, and they could click here, and then you could put in usernames of other users on EarSketch, and this would share it with them so that they could make an edit. And then you have a share and embedded script, and honestly, I tried that in Canvas and I could not get it to work. Or you can share it on SoundCloud, and I did that as well, and that worked real well too. Alrighty, this concludes the first video.